Welcome to ClickFunnels Radio, the podcast that brings you the latest strategies, insights, and success stories from online marketers just like you who utilize funnels to grow their business. Our mission is simple: to help you unleash the true potential of your online business by harnessing the power of funnels. Join us every week as we bring you exclusive interviews and thought-provoking discussions that will revolutionize the way you approach online marketing. Here are your hosts, Laura Demetrius and Chris Cameron.
Welcome back to ClickFunnels Radio. My name is Chris Cameron, and joined with me, as always, is my awesome, phenomenal, incredible co-host, Laura Demetrius.
Aw, thanks, Chris.
Do you like my Taco Bell headset? You guys who are listening right now, you can't see my awesome Taco Bell headset because I'm actually traveling and I didn't bring my, my regular microphone. We are super excited to have Peter Pru on today. Peter has built and grown and scaled multiple 7- and 8-figure businesses online across multiple industries. Matter of fact, he's one of not that many. I mean, we have, it's probably 300, something like that, 2 Comma Club X winners. This is people who have made over $10 million in a funnel. He's the founder of e-commerce Empire Builders, which a lot of you are familiar with, where he shares his tactics and strategies for building wildly profitable e-commerce businesses. He's also the founder of StoreFunnels.net, Untapped Focus Supplements, and e-commerce Empire Ventures. Peter, what is up?
Just a few things.
Just a few things. And now another one. And we'll be, I don't know what it's called now, that 2CCC, CCCC, whatever that
there
will
you go.
Hopefully soon. I don't even know where I'd put that. There's just a lot. Not
I
enough
bet you
wall
can make
space.
room. Well, you know what's funny? I'm looking in your background, and I'm just going to start with something that we didn't even plan on talking about. But you have a 2 Comma Club X, which is like an 8-figure award.
Mm-hmm.
But I also see in the back, you have one of these kind of elusive trophies. It's the dream car winner. It's the steering wheel. Which one was harder to get?
2CCX for sure.
Was it really?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. But yeah, always the award system I love, right? Like we even did it for our own programs and clients and stuff like that, and displaying that, like especially with how Russell introduced that whole thing. It was just so genius, right? Like it is like, it's arbitrary, but it is so nice to be, to work towards something, right?
Yeah.
But then you hit that goal. Like I always just was like, I just want to hit 2 Comma Club. And then it's like, no, you don't. Then, I have a closet full of them now. Right. So it's so it's just like, we joke about this. I don't know how appropriate this is to say, but we, internally we see 2CCX as the new 2 Comma Club award.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so
Yeah.
So we look at that, like, that's like a baseline now. And that's awesome. I mean, look at all the people that, ClickFunnels has changed the lives of. So
it's wild. And you know what? We were just talking to before we hit record. You were on ClickFunnels Radio. Well, it used to be called Funnel Hacker Radio with Dave Woodward. Mm-hmm. And you were mentioning that he's the one who actually got you into funnels and got you into ClickFunnels. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, some of you that know my story would know this because I do bring this up. I was in a mastermind group over 10 years, whenever ClickFunnels, about 10 years, right? It had to have been. I was just building my e-commerce businesses the traditional way on Amazon or, a WooCommerce platform. Didn't know anything about direct response marketing, didn't know what that was. I actually read Dan Kennedy books back then. And I was like, what is he talking about? Like, what is that? Like, it really was so confusing. I would go halfway through and it makes no sense. Now I pick it up. I'm like, this is all common sense. It's weird how it works like that. Because I didn't understand landing pages, all upselling and collecting leads. Why do I want leads? Like, what do I want emails for? Right. And I remember Dave, and I think he was with somebody else, but I don't remember who that was. And they were just demoing the ClickFunnels software. Oh, like, hey, here's how you can use this for e-commerce. And they were trying to explain to a bunch of Amazon people how, this will work for an e-commerce business too. And ever since then, my mind just completely shifted on how to build e-commerce businesses. One of the big things that we started doing at that time was free plus shipping offers, right? We still do the same exact thing from 10 years ago to this day. A lot of these principles just stay the same, but I've never understood it before he came on there and demonstrated it. A lot of people in that mastermind didn't see the power of it, and I was just like, like the light has I know the answer now. I know why my business isn't as profitable as it could be. I was early stages of running my fishing subscription box business at that time, and I always was trying to sell like the subscription on the front end, right? And the front end subscription sucks because it's like signing up to pay bills, right? Like people just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's just difficult, right? So at that point, I was like, wow, like learning that I could still sell this. I just got to sell it a different way. So what we started doing is we were doing like free plus shipping on like fishing lures, and then order bumps, upsells, selling more of the same thing on the upsells, and then having the subscription in the actual upsells, right? And that made a world of a difference because we were getting, on some cases, depends if it was like a trial or like a full price thing. There were times where we were getting like 20, 30% of people that came through the funnel signing up for the subscription, right? So it just made an absolute world of a difference. Ran that for years. I was in another mastermind group, where it was just only subscription box business owners. So they surely didn't know like marketing very well. They were very just obsessed about the product, which is important. Don't get me wrong, but they were just very, they were so into just the product and the design and stuff. And every month I would go in there and I would post pictures of like our stacks of boxes, going out with our fishing lures. And we were growing like 300 new members every single month at that time. And then one of the, there was always a ton of comments and a ton of engagement for me in that group because they kind of started, I started making a name for myself.
Probably mostly being, how did you do that?
Yeah, exactly. Right. How did you do this? How did you do this? And then I'm like trying to explain it in text form and like, hey, I'm using funnels, or what's a funnel? Like, and it's like, you're down the rabbit hole. So I started at that point, it was called Subscription Empire Builders. I like thinking of very long domain names. This is like my strategy.
which is actually pretty
very
interesting
long domain names
because that's exactly what Laura, you were asking about, is like continuity, right?
Yeah. It's fascinating because you jumped into this, and that's where I had like the most questions that I wanted.
Yeah, sorry. I told you I can rant and
no, I love it. No, this is great. We always love when people can chat our ears off. That's the best. But as most of our listeners know, Russell introduced the whole linchpin idea in the framework for building funnels and having a continuity business. And you talked about subscriptions and, when you try to sell it on the front end and how it's like asking people to pay bills. So true. So when you learned, especially, I love the full circle moment that you had with like Dave Woodward introducing you to this world. And now it's kind of second nature for you. And people in the subscription business probably are like, wow, give us your insight and your perspective on this because there's a new way to do business. What was that like aha moment switch? Was it when you decided to kind of re-engineer the way you did funnels? Because like that, as Russell tells everybody now, is like the continuity business is like, that's the sustainable thing. Like that's the route to go. So like, what did you learn from all of that? And what would you tell people? Yeah,
I don't know why, but I would kind of briefly go back for a second. I had an Amazon business, was doing like $80,000 per month, lost that business because somebody made like false IP claims on me. No, there was nothing there, but Amazon basically shut us down and made the two sellers work it out because they're not, legal, right? Amazon's getting involved in it. Lost
and that probably happens pretty often.
All the time. All the time. So, I learned a tough lesson there. Don't sell on Amazon like primarily as your like main sales. And at that point, when I lost that business, like a year or two went by and I was like, just blaming everybody but myself about my problems. And I had all this inventory at Amazon and, I kind of got back into it and I said, hey, then if I'm going to go back into this, I want to make sure I'm building something sustainable. I'm building something I have full control of. And, I did try a bunch of different niches and products get involved in, and this is me saying this, you could take this. I always was in a frame of mind with building my business. I wanted to get into something I was passionate about. Like whether I lose or win, I'm going to just have fun doing this. And fishing is just something I love to do. So I was like, you know what, screw it. Let's just go in this. And during that time, like, I guess subscription boxes were becoming like a popular thing. Yeah. There was a really big one at that time in the fishing space that was like brand new. It was called like Mystery Tackle Box. And I was like, wait, like I'm subscribed to them. Like, why don't I, being a business owner, like create my own subscription box?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, why I did it, but I always thought in my back of my head is like, I don't want to start the month at 0 every month. Like that was always my thing. Like, why do I have to always fight for new customers? Why can't I, have new customers and have this reoccurring aspect of my business? I mean, 100%, like it is the most important part, especially if you ever want to sell your company as well, right? Like your values more, you sleep better at night. Like, like it was so, even if you have a crappy month of sales, like that subscription can save you, right? Even the business that I run now, like all of them, I'm always thinking, how can we add, reoccurring to it? I mean, it's so key. But as far as like the different kinds, I mean, obviously I've done subscription boxes with physical products. You could do like subscribe and save stuff. That's what we do with like supplements. Like people need them anyway, so you might as well just let them get a better deal. And then obviously digital members areas are really nice. We have a few of those in our digital product business. So it's like basically like a webinar they get access to every single week, and like a members
weird question. Do you ever combine the two? Because I'll have some people who like, hey, why would I ever build like a membership site if I'm selling physical products? Is there ever a time where you would merge those, like maybe as a bonus material?
Yeah. So what we'll do now is like, hey, if we're doing a physical product, we'll always add in digital products into that. So like, for example, when I was running my fishing business, what I did is they did have a members area, and in that members area, it would teach them how to use the products that they got every single month. So I basically found this guy in West Virginia, paid him $500 a month because so this is how I find people to be like, if you're scared to create content for yourself, or you don't even know what, you don't want to be the face of your brand. Basically, I found this guy on YouTube. He had like 100 subscribers, but he's been posting videos every day for like 3 years, and he gets like 20, 30 views. And he's like my perfect person. He's like on his kayak fishing. And I hit him up and I was like, hey, I'll pay you. All I need you to do is, shoot like 4 videos for me a month. I'm going to send you products for free. You review it. And like, it was awesome. Genius. I mean, and this is still to this day what I tell people to do. Especially if you want to do like some sort of continuity and stuff, leverage other people's expertise or and stuff like that. But yeah, basically he would create a tutorial video for each of the lures, because fishing is complicated. It might not like sound it to somebody that's not in it, but like once you're in the hobby, like depending on the water color, depending if it's sunny out, if it's, cloudy out, there's the temperature of the water, there's so much involved in fishing. So there was a lot of digital products available for us. So we didn't sell like courses and stuff, but we did have this digital members area part of the continuity.
So yeah, but this is behind a login. So this isn't just like, hey, you know what, you buy this and we'll send you just go to this guy's YouTube channel. You still make it. People have to log in.
It was part of the offer. It was part of the offer.
I love it.
For sure.
That's such a cool way to combine that too.
And it's great because we would have like we'd have like an insert card in our subscription box as well that always reminded them like, hey, go to this URL. I think we eventually, when like QR codes came out, like we were like, oh, just scan it. It'll go to the, create your account, make sure you use the one you purchased with. So you actually see the content. Yeah, it's great. And it creates a more community aspect with these subscription boxes.
And it adds a ton of value.
Yeah. You want to create the community because, it's like the subscribe and save is kind of like the cheat code of it. Because if they really like your thing, like they'll just subscribe and save to it. But if you want to do like a subscription box, you kind of need to create a community around it. Otherwise, they'll just like kind of cancel on you. You look at like FabFitFun, that's a massive box and they've done extremely well, right? Like creating a community around their products. And then also this is key as well. Like the value needs to obviously be there in these physical subscription box. Like if they can just go out and just like buy the same product for like even equal value, they're not going to stay on. So you want to,
I think that exclusivity is like a really key point of that too. It's like, you mentioned being like it's a membership program and you're redirecting them and telling them to go back to be a part of that membership, which is also huge for brand. Like it's brand recognition. It's people feel like they're a part of something. And I love that you're kind of like, you utilize that influencer marketing perspective of like, you're getting people who are creating content for you and acting as influencers and creating testimonials and tutorials and all of that. Like that's exactly what gets people to feel like they're a part of something really special.
Yeah, exactly. And you can, so what we would do as well, Man, like this is like bringing back old memories. I'm like, yeah, I miss this business. So we would create this angler of the month. Angler is basically like a cool term for a fisherman, right? And basically they would have to become angler of the month. You'd get like I don't remember what we did, 6 months or a year of free boxes. Like you'd get that.
Wow.
And then there were like different rules that we had to like enter, but basically it'd be like tag us on social media. You have to catch a fish with this fishing lure, and like all these bunch of stipulations.
Getting a bunch of content from your customers. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, it was a hack to get a bunch of content from our customers. And then we would put them like on our insert card, like on the whole back. Like it would be them, a picture with the fish they caught. And it would be cool because they'd hold on to that thing forever. Who's going to throw that out?
Right? You know what? You talk about these, the awards and everything else. People want to be highlighted. They want to see that they did stuff.
Status.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But you know what I was just thinking as you're going through this? Stu McLaren, like in one of our 2 Comma Club X coaching program thing, he has a module that we use, and he's talking about like this subscription stuff. And one of the things that he mentioned was, tie the month club. And a lot of times, if you have something that's going subscription wise, there's a number of reasons why people may unsubscribe. For example, like with the right, it's like, oh man, well, I'm not at that many occasions where I'm wearing ties, all the time. So maybe I get like 50 ties. Now I feel guilty that I'm not using them. So my point is, like, even, the tackle box thing, like all this stuff, if you have a subscription box, is there something key to keep people to stick? Like, what do you do in this where it's just like, okay, well, I got some, 3 more lures. Maybe they are fishing enough to use all those different ones, but there's something you do to make sure that these people are sticky for a long time.
Yeah. So this is tough, right? Like with ties, I would need to go like research this to figure this out.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you. Like, just like high level, it's like, like I haven't wore a tie and I don't even know the last time I wore a tie.
Status is a big one. And I'm sure you could say this from your perspective. I can say it as a consumer because like, listen, I am the consumer. If there's a subscription box out there where like one product looks attractive to me or it's like aesthetically appealing, or I feel like it's just something fun and different that I can't buy on Amazon, I will sign up for that subscription box. And the thing that gets me to stay every single time is like, it's like rewards, or it's like a VIP status. I use Rent the Runway all the time. And if they offer like, after 6 months of being a member, you get an extra item in your box, or you get early access to our products, or you get to start to curate your own things. Like that stuff is key for the consumer.
Yeah. And this is like, so I'll tell you what we did that kept people on. This is tough, right? It's hard to speak just to a general audience about this because it's like your situation is going to be completely different than everybody else. Sure. I hate that answer because that's what people told me, but you will figure it out if you just like immerse that's why I say be passionate about your niche and love it, because this stuff is so much easier. So me, when I was running this business, I was like, hey, okay, I'm not going to be able to compete with this venture-backed mystery tackle box company because they're getting the fishing lures mad cheap, right? They're like Bass Pro Shops, Walmart, like they literally, their box was $60 of value and they were giving it to people for $20 a month. Like there's no way I have those connections or anything. So I knew like I couldn't compete on that. Like there was just no way I can overvalue them. So what I did is my big angle was you are getting, so I'm trying to phrase this right way, but like a lot of bass fishermen have like their favorite baits that they use, right? Like that's like their go-to. They're having a shitty day, but they're going to switch to their favorite fishing lure and use it. So my angle was, hey, you try other favorite anglers' baits, and we would only work with small bait shops that don't have the worst online stores known to man. Firstly, it's a pain in the butt to order to them, and I would find them, and they would usually have like an Instagram following and stuff like that. But all the baits that they made were custom made baits. Right? Like fully custom, not like China, nothing like that. They were all custom made.
Can't get it anywhere else.
You couldn't get it anywhere else unless you literally like the way communicating with them was like they had a Gmail account and like I had to order it that way. Like that was, it was a pain in the butt. But they also gave us value too, because we would create stickers for their brand and we wouldn't even charge them for it. So like I gave value to this brand that's going to be featured in the box that month, and it would only be them. When you look at all the other guys, they were featuring 20 different brands and a bunch of products in a box. With ours, it was like, no, so it was a win-win. There were some months.
This is the brand.
Yeah, this is the brand of this month, right? And there were some months where some of them, this didn't happen that often, so don't bank on it, but they would just be like, okay, no problem. We'll give you the stuff for free, because they're like, oh, you're going out to 3,000 people, right?
Free advertising.
It's free advertising. We're creating them stickers. They're going to get a ton of content from our people created around this. So yeah, you have to.
It can be a little bit experiential too. And like, if you're working with, like artisans or people who are creating a very specific type of bait or tackle, they feel like, hey, this is something I can't get anywhere else. That feels really cool. Or if, they're really great fishermen, maybe they're not an influencer and they don't have a giant following, but they can provide you with the experience that they've had using this bait and tackle to say like, hey, use what this person uses. Here's how they found success using it. And those people are going to feel like, I'm getting something that you can't get anywhere else. This isn't like wholesale stuff. This is like, it feels very niche and very special.
And it
People
was so
love that.
cool. Like the photographs of some of these lures, like they were insane. Like some of the designs on like the plastic worms and baits and like the lizard looking things, like they were like, wow, these are works of art. Like
yes,
these are,
and again, as a consumer, I want to have something that nobody else has.
And one other thing that I also added into this, it's not a requirement, but I think it definitely helped us. We had like a charity aspect of this business as well.
Always big,
especially in subscription. So basically it was like getting kids to go fishing like in underprivileged neighborhoods, as well as like special needs kids. So amazing, but also amazing for the business, because then when these people would go host events, they would have like banners of our business out there. I would have a table out there with all our stuff. I wasn't there physically because they were all over the country, but like there would be like somebody there like manning a table, handing out like pamphlets of
it becomes like guerrilla marketing too on top of it.
Now we were by no means a massive business compared to like a mystery tackle box where I think they had like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but at our peak we had about 4,000 people, which is massive, for us. And they're all paying like $20 to $40 a month. So
Russell talks about continuity. It's black and white. It's clear numbers.
No, Russell talks about that in the linchpin too. He said his buddy David Fry taught him this, and he repeats it all the time. If you don't have continuity, you don't have a business. And just like you said, Peter, like starting over every single month, is absolutely wild. Beyond subscription boxes, okay? I mean, people talk about, discounts, that type of thing. Subscription boxes makes a lot of sense. How else could you have continuity with physical products?
Yeah, like for example, like fitness is an easy one, right? Like I like to think of it like, hey, when you sell somebody a product, you're introducing a whole new set of problems to them, right? Because it's something to sell somebody something. You then need to sell that person on using.
Like I got 6-pack abs, but I need 7-pack abs.
Right.
That's the new problem.
So it depends on, obviously the physical products. But usually I always like to start with digital if possible, because you're 100% margin basically. Like there's a lot more in there. One hack that I've used, and I think this will be helpful to like total beginners, this is why I choose my niches wisely that I get involved in. Like I wouldn't go into something and then try to figure out the subscription. Like I'm looking at the niche if it's even possible. So I only really involve myself with hobby niches only. And the reason for that is because there's always physical products. Yeah. And guess what? People that like hobbies, they're usually trying to get better at it in some way, shape, or form.
That's where their discretionary income goes too.
Yeah. And there's always a lot of digital products, right?
Education,
So like anybody that does any hobby, like I just picked up jujitsu like 2 months ago. Now I'm getting bombarded with all these information products and physical products. I didn't even know these things existed yet before like being in the niche. So you got to kind of like choose your niche wisely, but also why I love hobby niches, and this is kind of like the secret sauce, especially when we're doing this stuff for clients and stuff, is there's always new people coming into this hobby. Right? Like there's always people getting into gardening. There's always people getting into fishing.
Golf.
Golf. There's always people coming into it that will see. And guess what? When do you spend the most money when you are kind of getting into something? Right at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Like you're buying like, your gardening tools, you're buying some books, your ebooks, a course on how to grow a veggie garden. Like you're doing all these things, right? And that's when you're most excited about it. And that's the perfect time for them to see your ads, right? Like that. It's like
to tie into this.
A great point. I've never really thought about it that way, but as a hobbyist, it's not even a very specific demographic all the time either. Like anybody could get involved in. I mean, I could be an angler, you know, like there's so many people that are just looking for something new. And as an Enneagram 7, I talk about this with my friends and family all the time about how like, I'm just very like, I'll jump into whatever's like sounds exciting to me. If I have some free time, I'll take a dance class or I'll learn a new language. And this so applies to so many different types of people that are just looking for something new, and especially in the new year, which is interesting timing because everyone's looking for something, a new hobby to do, something to feel, it's to have conversation around. And, you know, this being in the hobby business, it's really fascinating to think it could technically apply to anybody.
Yeah. And there's so many, there's literally thousands of hobbies. You wouldn't even believe what people are, you know, enjoying. You know, one of our very successful funnels that we're currently running is in the sewing niche. Okay. The sewing niche. All right. There's so many digital products in there, so many physical products and consumable products as well. So, you know, it really is like your niche matters. Cause like, it would be tough for me to like think of a subscription, I don't know, for like a random niche like that, you know, isn't really a hobby. You really want to position it because like again with hobbies people are trying to get better at it, increasing their status, right? Whether they're, you know, doing something with other people. Like with my fishing business, you know, our kind of like biggest hook was like catch your next personal best, right? Catch your next personal best.
Oh,
right?
that's good.
Right. So that was always kind of like, you know, you want something like that. You want them to strive to the next level because then when they hit that level, they go to the next level. Like, and that's how
2 comma club X, 2 comma club C, right?
Exactly. There's never an end. And with hobbies, there's never an end, really. You just keep doing the thing and you get better at the thing. But yeah, I recommend if you need a niche, get into one of those because, you know, those are usually the easier ones. And plus, you can document your journey while you do it and build up your own personal brand at the same time because people love watching other people kind of get involved. And, you know, I personally recommend if you can be your own face for your brand.
Funny that you say that because this is not, you know, we're talking about these subscription boxes. This is not where you made the 2 comma club X and all these things. It was by teaching other people to do this. And I know you're kind of like, okay, that's on autopilot. That's kind of running, you know, but now you're into something new and kind of starting something else. What are you excited about now that you're working on that you can tell us about?
Yeah. So, you know, obviously I have a couple different companies that I run from e-commerce to physical, to obviously to our digital products. And, you know, the one that I'm kind of getting involved in right now is more so sharing how we grew our business, how we grew our e-commerce empire builders business to now close to the $25 million mark, which is insane.
So awesome, Peter. It's great.
Like when I think about that, I'm like, I don't even believe it because mind you, I never finished that story. I started it as a hobby. Like I started e-commerce empire because I was posting in that subscription group, showing them what I was doing. And then I needed a place to upload some tutorial videos. And then somebody hit me up a month after and was like, Pete, I have no idea what you're talking about. Can I just pay you $500 to build me a funnel? And I was like, holy crap. It was like discovering funnels for the first time. I was like, you're going to pay me?
Which that feels like the most like authentic, organic journey of growing a business, especially with it starting with something that you love. Like I don't think there's any better way to grow a business than do it that way.
I was just, and it's like Russell says, right? And this piece of advice from him changed my life, right? Do a webinar every single week for a year. I was crazy enough to do it and I did do it and it changed my life. But I would add to that as well, to the craziness, is create a YouTube video every single day for a year and you will not have any problems. You will not have any more problems. Right. Yeah. So like, you just have to, this is what I always stress, be passionate about like what you're doing. Cause you'll never stick with it, you know, long enough. Right. It's nice to say all these numbers right now, but like, there's still I'm dealing with issues every single day, right? Like it's not, you know, it's not all, you know, easy, but yeah, I launched a new one called Digital Empire Builders. Play off.
And you have a book, right?
We have a book too, E-commerce Empire. So that was been like the #1 bestseller on Amazon for e-commerce since we launched it about 2 years ago now.
Congrats, man.
So there's a lot that we're doing now. But like it all hinders on like just being, like I said, being irrationally passionate. Talk about this. If you're willing to talk about the same thing for the rest of your life, like there's no reason you can't make that a career, right? Or start a business around it. You can. You just gotta, you know, get over that hurdle, right, of being scared. And that's one of the big points that I say. And listen, you kind of like YouTube channel I started. I have nothing to sell there, by the way. It's not even a business. It's just me uploading some content about how we've built our
documenting the journey.
Yeah,
right?
I'm just exactly. I'm just documenting the journey, right? I'm doing the same exact thing. If somebody, if it comes into a business, awesome. But I really have no plans for that. But I'm willing to, put my face out there, talk about it, and you don't know what's going to happen, right? And you want to do the same thing for your business. And in that channel, I set that expectation. The digital product business, in my opinion, is extremely difficult. It is the most financially rewarding, but it is the most difficult business model, right? Because with physical products, which I think is the easier business model, you have that like Santa Claus effect. I push a button on computer and something comes in the mail.
Yeah.
I got it. You're selling intangibles with digital products, right?
Yeah.
You're solving problems now, right? You're not that you're not solving problems with physical stuff, you are, but you're like somebody buys your ebook, right? They're obviously in pain, right? They're trying to figure out a solution to something. They buy your course, they buy your high ticket service, whatever it might be. So number one, you got to be a good marketer, right? If you're going to do digital products, right? You have to. But yeah, that's why I like to kind of like mix physical and digital, like at least
I think beginner,
that's
such a cool takeaway too, is, we're doing this one funnel week challenge. I facilitate a lot of these trainings, and that's one of the questions too. People are like, hey, all right, now go in, we're going to go into the app and we're going to start building out your membership. People are like, I sell physical products, I don't need that. And so I love this connection too, is like, hey, as a bonus, or, increasing that perceived value, or tutorials. You mentioned, these digital products. That's one of the tough things about digital products is people get something delivered to them that is a training or course. They actually have to do something with it. With a physical product, they get the thing. Whether they use it or not, they at least got the thing.
They at least got the thing.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and they may have the training, but are they going to go through it? That's where they're going to see the value. Where, hey, these lures could even be a piece of art. It's pretty crazy. Well, if people wanted to find you right now and follow you, where do you want to send people? Like, what's the best place to see you and get a hold of you?
Just peterpru.com is probably easiest. You can learn more about, our companies. You can check out e-commerce empire builders, what we're doing there. Peterpru.com.
Oh, you're
amazing. I loved this conversation. In fact, I know it probably went a little bit, different direction than we planned. I mean, I had all these different questions for you, but I loved that we really dove into continuity and talking about the subscription boxes and like, having a hobby business. And it really turns into something so much bigger when you start it because you love it. And I think there's a lot of value in that. One thing that I did want to ask though, before we wrap is just kind of a little sidetrack that we took. And you talk about like trusting the process and documenting the journey. What would you say in terms of advice, or just to give people a little preview of, you said you were one of the crazy ones that did a webinar every week and you created YouTube content every day. At what point, what was the turning point where you actually saw results from that? Because I know that's not just an overnight success and it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of patience. What was that for you?
So now kind of like starting over with a different kind of like new YouTube channel that I'm not promoting really, like cross promoting, trying to build that audience. When I started that e-commerce empire builders channel, right, I didn't think about selling stuff. Like that is the secret. I like everybody wants to, I'm telling you, just go out there. People, even if you don't have anything, you don't have a website, it doesn't matter. If they like you and you're providing value, they will find a way to give you money. Just like that first person that gave me money to build their funnel, and then he retained me for a bunch of other work. So I basically was running that channel for about 2 or 3 months, and I was just getting a lot of emails. So I started building out my funnel, right? I was like, okay, what should I do, right? And then I signed up for Russell's program. I think it was around that time. It was called like 2CCX coaching, but it wasn't like, it was a digital product. It wasn't like the one where you actually like meet up and stuff. And that was the most amazing course I've ever, you guys need to resell that, because it was basically when Expert Secrets came out, it was like a course version of it, walking you through your webinar slides, every single one. So basically I just started doing that. I was like, all these people are asking me for stuff. I don't really want to do done for you. Full circle. I do done for you now. Like all that's like our main business, whatever. But I created the webinar, right? I understood the customer so much better because I've been engaging with them for many, many months, right? Yeah. But even more so, I started putting the webinar together. I started doing content obviously every single day. And I put in a webinar in there every single week, and I ran ads to it, right? And these live webinars are amazing, right? But they are disheartening at times, right? I would still do the same thing to this day, just being like, hey, live webinar coming up this Thursday,
You learn everything you need to know about
you
your
learn so
customers,
much about yourself. When you start a presentation, there is 0 people on that, and you gotta pretend like there's 1,000 people.
Oh yeah.
It hurts, but
that's a humbling experience.
I'm telling you,
I've done hundreds of them. I know exactly what you're saying, man.
I try and kind of chase the nostalgia of it, and it's sad because you can never get that same feeling back, and it's like the worst, right? Because it's like you want to feel that again, but you just can't. You just have this memory. And I remember, like, I did like my first webinar or like my second or whatever, and nothing, like there was nothing happening. Everyone's like talking, oh, I got 13,000 my first launch. This stuff didn't work like that for me, guys, like at all. Like I'm like a slow and steady. But I remember it was like Saturday night, me and my wife, or not even my wife at that time, sitting on the couch, we're watching Netflix, and my phone buzzes. And it was a $1,000 course sale. And it was like,
that changes everything.
Shit.
Like, wait, this works.
Like it was amazing. And like that feeling is just awesome. Like I would do anything to have that again. So like I'm jealous in ways of people that get to experience that. Because it's like, holy shit.
It's like a first kiss.
Yes, like a first kiss.
But it is bit awesome. Of adrenaline. It's when you're the hungriest, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like now you lose it a little bit over time. Like I've lost that a little bit because I throw money at my problems, which is nice because I'm like, I look for the who, not the how, right? You guys know.
Yeah.
I don't want to figure out how to build this funnel. Oh, here, let's get him. He's on our team. He builds funnels. So they look a million times better than mine. Let's just get him to do it. Right. So you kind of lose a little bit of that along the way. And that's normal, right? Because as you build your business, you're a CEO, you're looking at more of the direction. You're not so involved in like fulfillment and the day-to-day stuff anymore.
Yeah. But it's as Benjamin Hardy says too, and you mentioned who, not how, is, always measure backwards, and knowing where you are now is because you went through that phase. And all of the people who are able to throw money at their problems have been there themselves too. And I'm sure they value that distant memory of feeling that as well, which is, I think, really, really cool.
And you just enjoy it, right? I just wish I could turn back time. And I hate when people say this to me, like, oh, just enjoy the process. Like, because it's like stressful at that time. It's like you just spent $1,000 this week to get people on a webinar. No one shows up and you're stressing, right? Like, but like in ways, it's awesome. In ways, it's awesome.
That's inspiring. Well, this was awesome, Peter. I love this conversation. Thank you for giving us your insights and talking about your past. And I love that this all seemed full circle in some way and how you were introduced to this. And with Dave, I had a blast. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes.
We'll have to have you on again so Laura can ask the rest of those questions. But
right?
Hopefully less than 6 years. Hopefully less than 6 years.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. We'll do it.
But for now, go to peterpru.com to learn more about Peter. And again, thanks so much for being a part of the show today. And it was great chatting, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.